The debate over greatness in the NBA never truly ends. It only waits for the right moment to explode again. This week, that moment arrived through the words of Carmelo Anthony. Speaking openly, calmly, and without hesitation, the former NBA star ignited one of basketball's most sensitive discussions: Stephen Curry's place in history, and whether he has the right to see himself as greater than LeBron James. What followed was not just another opinion. It was a statement that resonated across locker rooms, media rooms, and fan bases worldwide, amplified by something even more powerful: Curry's performance on the court. Before we go any further, do one thing. If you love real NBA debates, not narratives, not agendas, subscribe now. Leave a like to keep this discussion alive. And most importantly, comment the city you're watching from, because this debate isn't local, it's global. Now here's what really happened. Carmelo Anthony has never been a player who hides behind safe opinions. During his appearance on the Big Podcast, hosted by Shaquille O'Neal, the former NBA star addressed the all-time greatness debate with unusual clarity. When asked about Stephen Curry's place among the legends of the game, Carmelo went a step further, placing Curry not only in the conversation, but firmly inside the mindset of self-belief that defines superstars. According to Anthony, Stephen Curry has every right to consider his career greater than LeBron James's, at least from his own perspective. If we're talking about the greatest players ever, Carmelo said, how can we sit here and say Stephen Curry isn't in that conversation? He might look at the list and say it goes Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and then himself. He doesn't even have to put LeBron above him. And he'd have valid arguments to think that way. The statement immediately stood out because of who it came from. Carmelo Anthony shared an era with both players. He faced LeBron James countless times and watched Curry revolutionize the game from the inside. His words weren't fueled by rivalry or provocation. They reflected perspective. And perspective matters. Curry's impact on basketball extends beyond championships and trophies. He reshaped how the game is played at every level. The three-point revolution, spacing, off-ball movement, and shooting range are now fundamental elements of modern basketball, largely because of him. In Carmelo's view, influence is as important as longevity or physical dominance. This context makes the comparison with LeBron James unavoidable. LeBron represents sustained excellence, adaptability, and physical supremacy across 2 decades. Curry represents transformation, a player who changed the geometry of the court and forced the league to evolve around him. Carmelo's point was not about diminishing LeBron. It was about validating Curry's right to self-assessment. Great players don't measure themselves by consensus. They measure themselves by legacy, impact, and belief. And just days after those words echoed across the NBA landscape, Stephen Curry delivered a performance that reignited the debate in real time. In Portland, under pressure, with Golden State struggling defensively and desperately chasing consistency, Curry reminded everyone why his name refuses to leave the conversation. What happened next was not perfect. It was not victorious. But it was historic. And it added a new layer to Carmelo Anthony's argument, one that numbers, moments, and memory now support. Inside Real Madrid, matches like the one against Alaves are rarely described as decisive in public. Internally, however, the language is more precise and more revealing. This is a checkpoint, a moment to measure not only results but direction. And direction, right now, is the club's central concern. Executives and technical staff agree on one point. Xabi Alonso's project is not under immediate threat, but it is under evaluation. The board understands the context: injuries, squad transitions, tactical adjustments, yet believes that Real Madrid's identity must remain visible regardless of circumstance. Control of matches, emotional stability, and competitive authority are non-negotiable pillars. The Alaves game offers a controlled environment to test exactly that. A team lower in the table, less pressure externally, but maximum pressure internally. The question Madrid wants answered is simple. Does this team respond when it must? Sources close to the club indicate that the performance will be dissected beyond the final scoreline. Ball circulation, defensive balance, reaction after conceding chances, and the connection between midfield and attack will all be closely examined. A narrow win without conviction would ease tension only temporarily. A dominant display, on the other hand, could reset the narrative. Failure carries clearer consequences. Not an immediate dismissal, but a shift in posture. Increased oversight. Reduced margin for error. And accelerated contingency planning. That is where Alvaro Arbeloa's name quietly gains relevance. His situation is not reactive, it is structural. Madrid sees him as a long-term asset, someone who understands the club's culture from the inside. His work with Castilla has impressed in terms of discipline, intensity, and clarity of ideas. No decision has been made, but preparation is part of Madrid's DNA. The club's leadership, led by Florentino Perez, prefers evolution over rupture. They are not seeking a shock appointment but alignment. If change becomes necessary, they want continuity without instability. Arbeloa fits that profile, but only if circumstances demand it. For Xabi Alonso, the challenge is navigating this phase without becoming defensive. His press conference tone reflected awareness without insecurity. He knows that at Real Madrid, perception shapes reality. A strong response against Alaves strengthens his position. A hesitant one feeds doubt. The players are also under scrutiny. Commitment has been emphasized repeatedly in internal meetings. The expectation is that the squad translates words into action. This match is seen as a test of collective responsibility, not just tactical execution. The broader context adds urgency. Barcelona's lead in La Liga, combined with recent European disappointment, limits Madrid's tolerance for stagnation. The club does not demand perfection, but it demands progression. Should Madrid respond positively, the noise will